and hopefully I can share a screen. And let me see if I can do this and we'll get started here. Can you see my screen? Yes, we're okay.
Yes.
You can see the SALT project graphic.
Yes.
All right. Good deal. Welcome everyone to SALT Project Community Open Hour for Thursday, March 2nd. Already March in 2023. Daylight savings in just a couple of days. It's coming right up. Spring is on the way unless you live in Utah. Welcome everybody. Here's where you can find us. SALT Project is everywhere. I dare say it's almost ubiquitous. You can find us on YouTube, GitHub, Slack, Twitch, Reddit, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and of course, the Hacks podcast, hosted by yours truly and one Mr. Tom Hatch. It's a good joint. It's a good ride. You should get on it if you're not listening to the Hacks. Here's what's happening today. We've got general updates. We're talking about the RC1 release. Yay. SALT Project user group meetups. Nick is going to take some time, or spug them, as we like to call it. Demos are coming to Open Hour. We're going to update you there. We've got some stuff that I'd like to share with a sibling to SALT, powerful sibling to SALT called Idem. We'll check our community forums with Thomas Phipps, and then we'll answer your questions as well. So let's get right into it. Open Hour every first and third Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. That's Pacific time, 11 a.m. to noon. You get the drill. You can do the math from there. Our next SALT Project Community Open Hour is going to be on March 16th. In the meantime, join a SALT Project working group, will you? We've got a whole bunch of them. We've got everything from security to Windows to Mac to, I mean, wow, they're docs. There's a ton of them. So what you want to do is go to saltproject.io/home/working and hop in there, or you'll find it at saltproject.io. It's there. It's easy to find. By the way, thank you for everyone who let me know SALT Project was down this morning. It was not our issue. It was an AWS server issue. We were able to resolve that. Everything's good to go. We're fine. For those of you who are wondering, everything's good. All right, the RC1 release is out. Round of applause for the RC1 release. Round of applause. There we go. Here's the thing. We need you to do your salty duty. A wise man once said, if you want to do your duty properly, you should just do a little more than that. Thank you, Bruce Lee. Wiser words were never spoken, excuse me. Thank you, Bruce Lee. So here's the deal. We need RC testing. This means you. If you're watching this live now, or if you're watching this on YouTube, we really need your help with this. The more testing we do, the more bugs we find. You know the drill. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to bribe you. Flat out, I'm just going to bribe you to do some testing. So find some bugs and win some swag. Here's the way this is going to work. So if you get in there, you do some RC testing, you find a bug, I'm going to give you your choice. One bug equals a SALT Project notebook from the Salty store. If you haven't seen these, I think they're suede. They're really cool. They're very, very cool. Lenny Kravitz would love this. That's how cool that notebook is. Also, you can pick a notebook, or you can pick a SALT Project hat or a tumbler or water bottle if you find a bug. If you find 2 bugs, I'm going to lace you up with a SALT Project t-shirt. 3 bugs, you get a hoodie or the headphone case. If you haven't seen the headphone case, they're very popular. Everybody's into them. They hold their headphones and, you know, some memory sticks, USB drives, whatever. So so go check them out and go find some bugs, will you? We need you to do some RC testing. So let's get on it. All right, before we move any further, I'd like to hand the time over to Nick Hughes to talk about Spugum.
Thank you very much. And you should announce Chunga's bug bounty in Slack and make sure everybody's aware of that, because that's a pretty good deal.
I like the branding there, Nick. Chunga's bug bounty. Done. Done and done. Yeah, we'll put it in Slack for sure.
I've been hanging out with you too much. I'm turning into a marketing guy.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I just want to take a couple of moments and talk a little bit about Spugum. So I guess it was potentially last year that I initially started about talking about getting regional user group meetups on the docket so that we could have a little bit of salty action. since we haven't had an in-person Salt Conf for a long while. And so I put out the word, and so we had some people sort of like pre-sign up at spugum.com and tell me, where they're located and how far they're willing to travel so that we could sort of get one of these on the books. And so at this point, the people going and signing up the website has kind of plateaued. So I think that what's going to happen is that right now, the most overlap for people willing to travel would be in the Maryland area. So we're on the East Coast of the United States. And I'm going to start thinking about solidifying dates and locations and things like that so that we can start to get an idea of who would actually attend a thing, right? The initial Spugum idea might have been a little bit too nebulous for some to sign up for. So, if we give something a little bit more concrete to hold on to, hopefully we'll have some more interest. So I just wanted to prep everybody that those talks are in motion, and hopefully we'll be getting some information out soon about where exactly and when exactly the first Spugum meeting will occur.
All right, very good. Is there anything else, Nick? Is that it?
No, sir. But before you asked, I don't have any cues for the Q&A.
Well, you better hurry. It's coming up. Get to it. Chop, chop. Also, hey, I just want to put this out there. Nick brought up SaltConf. So we're all lamenting the loss of SaltConf, right? This was a decision that was made at VMware, to be perfectly honest with you. They decided that they wanted to focus all of their energy not on independent expos, trade shows, and conferences, and instead direct everything towards VMware Explore. This was a decision that was made last year, as you all know, and that's why we haven't done a SaltConf. For those of you that are interested, VMware Explore is coming up in August, and they're moving it from San Francisco to out to Thomas and my neck of the woods in Las Vegas. So if you're interested in coming to VMware Explore, it's happening in August in Las Vegas. You can just hop online, check it out. We will have some open source breakout sessions. Salt will be featured, Idem project will be featured, and more details will be coming. So we'll get you some more information about that as we get a little bit closer. For those of you who would be interested. The other part of this is that we are working on trying to, in addition to what Nick is doing, trying to secure some tutorial days, some educational days, and things like that, where we can have some breakout sessions and everyone can show up and just attend for free. And we'll hopefully be able to do a couple of these. We're in the process of getting that lined up now, and I'll keep you apprised and let you know what's going on so that the entire SALT community can turn up, as the kids say, and we can have some fun with SALT and with Idem. All right, moving right along. Demos are coming to Open Hour. Pretty excited about this. This is by popular demand. Many of you have asked for this. So we're going to start doing some short demos on a variety of things, all related to SALT, of course. And we would like to know what you want to see. What do you need to see demos on? I personally am angling with the core team to try and get some demos on some more obscure and weird features in SALT that may exist that you may not even know about, or may exist and you not know how to do. So that's something that I'm very much looking forward to doing as we go forward here at Open Hour. If you would like to see demos on things, super simple, just hit me. It's Chunga. If you're in the SALT project community channel, it's Chunga on Slack or schunga@vmware.com. And I'll forward those along to, to our fine friends that we see here, Shane and Gareth and Thomas and Dave, and so on and so forth. And of course I said those guys because that's who are in my Zoom tiles right now as I'm presenting. So not to leave anyone out. All right, Idem project. Idem project. I want to talk about this for a second, and I would like to invite all of our SALT community members to go check it out. It's not SALT. It is created by Tom Hatch, however, who we all know is the creator of SALT. While it isn't SALT, it is a powerful sibling to SALT. And new features are being developed right now. New features are on the way, which will integrate with Salt seamlessly. Is that going to happen anytime soon? No, it's going to happen at some point, probably within the next year. Don't know when yet, but it's underway. What does Idem do? Well, it reduces your cloud configuration to data. It basically takes all of your cloud work, which is very complex and requires lines and lines and lines of code, and it makes everything simple. And it delivers all of that stuff to you as data. So it's rather than infrastructure as code, we give you infrastructure as data is what we're calling it, which is pretty cool. A couple of weeks ago, we did our very first Idem community open hour, Idem project community open hour. A couple of you attended. Nick Hughes was one of those people who attended. It was kind of a soft opening, if you will. And we would like to invite each and every one of you to get involved. We're going to have our first actual community open hour this month in March, and we'll be sure to let everybody know about that, and everyone is invited to attend. If you'd like to get started on Idem Project, take a look at it, start farting around with it. I highly recommend you do so. It's cool. Idemproject.io, and we'll go from there. Okay, so let's send it over to Thomas Phipps, and we'll find out what's happening in the community real quick.
Hey, just a quick one. Somebody wanted to know how to basically use unless with two states at the same time and not have to have basically the function run twice. So out of it came a discussion about, using the test states to actually do logic within Salt, basically within the state system. So you don't have to rely on Jinja to do all your logic. You can actually do a lot of logic using the test states. And just a quick example is right here. Run a test with test.succeeded with changes. If it runs, it's going to display a change. So on changes, testing for it. If it doesn't run, it didn't run. You can also use fail and use the on fail requisite. But combining the requisites and the test states, you can do a lot of the logic within states without ever having to touch Jinja.
That's very cool. Very cool. Anything else here, Thomas? Is there something else we need to know here?
The other thing to know is one of the reasons for doing this is when things are run, since the states run at a very different time than Jinja, you don't have to rely on, hey, the Jinja's already there.
Very cool. All right. Thank you, Thomas. Good stuff indeed. And with that, some of you may have some questions. So let's get right to it. Q&A time here at Salt Project Community Open Hour. Nick, did you take a minute and come up with some questions?
No, I did not.
So
If we go back to that previous slide for just a second.
Sure, absolutely.
That's my question.
That sounds like Hunter. And yeah, we'll definitely do that. There you go.
Gracias.
Fire away, Hunter.
No, I'm just writing it down because I actually need this for a test I'm doing this afternoon.
Do you really? Oh, great. Wow.
He started talking and I was like, I wonder how that relates to the, oh, wait, hold on. No, I need that.
Talk about timely. Cool. Yep. Okay. While Hunter's writing, does anyone else have any questions today for the Q&A?
And I do have one semi-related question.
Go for it.
This points out something that I asked on the documentation channel, I think yesterday or maybe the day before. A lot of the SALT documentation, I'd say probably 90% or more, still uses what I would call the older style of writing states where the name is the first thing and there's no name field and there's no human readable description. And then you have this style where the first line is basically a human readable description and you include a name field in the arguments. My team has found this style, especially with much longer descriptions, to be extremely helpful, because when you actually run the salt formulas, you get this big long laundry list of, hey, I'm touching this file, hey, I'm doing this thing, hey, I'm starting this service, whatever you need. Shouldn't we as a group encourage that behavior through Salt Stack?
I know I personally have always pushed for this style. The problem is we have thousands of people that edit those docs. So
We do.
a lot of it was open, they were open source, so everybody that's ever written a doc is put in their own personal styles on things. That's why we still have a lot of the command colon down dash run style in there, because that functions. It's ugly as sin, but it functions.
I understand, and backwards compatibility is important, especially on a project like Salt. I mean, we don't want Salt, 3006 breaking stuff that worked just fine under 3005 unless we absolutely have to. But this change makes Salt way more readable and way more introducible to new people. And so I'd like to see, I would, in my not so humble opinion, I'd make this the official way of doing things.
I agree. It's just a lot of work to fix.
No doubt. But I was looking for agreement before trying to push the work. The other one is also represented in this example. It's a twofer. Down in on changes, isn't the test colon now optional?
Only in require.
Only in require.
Yes, only in requires is the module optional.
Could that be, is that something that could be a feature to add to on changes and the rest?
That's a good question. I don't dig that deep into the requisites because they are a pain to work on.
Fair enough.
It's the ambition that I love so much about Salt Project. It's the ambition that I love.
Part of my task is teaching this to new team members. And these two changes here, these two patterns, for lack of a better term here, make Salt much easier to teach. Your first line is English. It has nothing technical in it. It's for humans. Mm-hmm. Your module being optional in the requires field means that was always confusing to my new guys. Why does it say test there? Well, it's referring back to the module. It's referring back to the state, the thing. And if you just put the English text there with no module, oh yeah, it requires this other thing. There's no questions. So anyway, that's why I brought that up, as I was trying to make that's my contribution, I guess, to Salt, is to try and make it a little easier to teach to newer people.
Yeah, I'm seeing people say that they've used the no state or the no module with other requisites, and
really,
unless it's changed from the last time I've used it, that's not true. It's possible. I haven't been head first in this part of Salt in a while. Last I tried that was like in 2019. So.
I'm a Python guy, but I don't know that I've got the Python skills to dig into that level of the code, but I'll try and look this afternoon.
Yeah, it would be in the state module stuff. Salt/state.py.
Salt what?
State.py, the one directly off of the main Salt.
State.py it will be. I will look. I do not promise to have the Python sufficient to read some of the Salt code. I try my best.
Isn't it modules? Isn't it in the modules?
Modules state is just basically calling the class state.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I've
Chungok, getting
had-
back to your meeting, I didn't mean to monopolize it.
Oh, no, listen, monopolizing it. Nick's like, hold my beer. You're not monopolizing anything. You're just fine. And thanks, Hunter. I appreciate it. Am I okay to take this down now? This
Absolutely.
slide? All right.
Yeah. And I appreciate
Very
everybody
good.
being open to my suggestions on documentation. The doc is SALT is only useful because of its documentation.
Nice.
Agreed.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be done on documentation. If you look, there's some use a Google style, some use a Sphinx style, there's like different ways you can write it out, and everybody's kind of done their own. We do need to standardize on one, but then there's the task of going and rewriting all the docs for everything in that new format,
Yeah.
Agreed, but still the volume and the quality overall of Salt Stack's documentation is very good.
Yeah. So Hunter,
you're the first to say that.
I'm on the receiving end. I answer the questions from some of the junior members of my team.
Hey, cool. Nice. So just a thought, Hunter, you can reach out to Elisa Rock. She's unfortunately she's not here today, but she does the Salt Docs working group. And if you have any questions,
I got kicked out this week.
Got kicked out of the group.
I just don't have the time to work on the documentation itself, and that's what that documentation working group is for. So specifically, my question about shouldn't that first line being descriptive be the standard, according to her belong, and I agree, according to her belonged in the pound documentation, not the documentation working group. So the working group is specifically for people just working over a hot keyboard, slaving away to improve the documentation.
I got you. Okay. Well, at least there wasn't any hazing involved.
No.
I can see you getting kicked out for that reason, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Is there, by the way, I'm just seeing Gareth's comment. It's like an out of town preview. I love that reference. Ocean's 13. That's great. Okay. So are there any more questions? Any other questions?
Not a question, but a comment / suggestion for Hunter. If you wouldn't mind adding an issue to make the documentation for like states more consistent, that would help us. That way we have something to track.
I will do so this afternoon.
Don't forget as soon as this meeting's over.
I had an idea that I had brought up in the documentation working group, and I apologize profusely. In my professional life, I just don't have time to dig into it. But one of the things that I had pointed out was that the bulk of the modules and state documentation pulls directly from Sphinx. And so the documentation style is for, I'm calling this function in Python. And somebody, and this is where I was hoping to take a hand, and I just can't. Somebody needs to redo or create a custom module for Sphinx, because that's not how that code gets called 99% of the time in the Salt world. That code gets called in SLS files. And so instead of it being the Python function definition, it needs that first part of, say, file.managed needs to be how it would look in a SLS file. And that's going to be, I think, a Sphinx thing or something like that. There is a place for calling this code in Python, but that's not how 99% of the Salt world calls this code. And that would be a big improvement to the documentation, because I've had to explain that to my team too. This looks like a function call in Python. It's not. Scroll down.
I mean, technically it is, but not directly.
Well, but like I said, I mean, 99% of the time in the Salt world, that's how users access that function is through a YAML.SLS file.
Either a YAML file or through the CLI directly.
Yeah.
One of the two.
I think that, and as long as we're banging on documentation, getting rid of the Google search app as the search function on saltstack.io are the two biggest things that would improve, I think, in one fell swoop, improve the salt documentation. That's a lot of work, and I understand that. I am a sysadmin.
Getting rid of the search bar. You want the search bar gone? Is that what you're
No, I
saying?
want the search bar to be not backed up by Google search application,
Oh,
because
okay.
it puts 5 or 10 ads at the top, and then
Yeah.
also a bunch of links to things that have nothing to do with salt.
And it's probably stuff
search-
you've already bought. On
that-
top of it.
That search bar should only be searching and yielding results off of saltstack.io and related sites.
All right. Okay. Well, okay. I can definitely put in the the request to see what I can't do to make that happen for sure. It's good stuff, Hunter. Thanks, man. Is there anything else?
No, sir. I appreciate everybody's
All
time.
right. Oh yeah, of course. This is why we're here. By the way, big shout out to Miguel for putting his contact info in the chat, his Twitter. Everybody go follow Miguel. It's great to have you here, man. That's what this is all about. You know, we love it when the first timers come in and make their presence known, and we'd love to have you keep coming back. You know, that's what this is all about. I want to take a second. Derek, raise your hand. Give everybody a wave if you would. Derek was the guy who saved the website this morning. Another round of applause for Derek. Good job. Thanks for working your magic.
Hey, Derek, why
Derek.
don't you head on over to the salt store and pick yourself out something really nice?
Yeah, can I get some swag credit?
Really
please? That
nice.
would, yeah.
Actually, Derek, why don't you head over to the salty store and pick yourself out something really nice?
Out of
Okay,
curiosity,
it's-
Good to me.
Yes, Hunter.
what was the issue?
It was just something with our server at AWS. It
Okay.
just had a hitch. It happens every once in a while, but the problem is when it does it, it takes us a little bit to figure out what the actual hitch is. So, yeah, it sent me and Derek and several other people into a frenzy trying to scramble to figure it out. And I was kind of like, Derek, is it plugged in? No.
It's more so that there's a different support team. There are people who help with the WordPress side, and then there's a bit of a communication difference there too.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is that I think that's been worked out. I think we've been able to resolve that, but that'll have hopefully a lot less downtime when that happens. So, any other questions before we call it a day?
I have a few comments if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Going back to some of Hunter's ideas about the docs, so probably the best place for making, at least from a docs perspective, making the state ID descriptive would be in the Salt Docs contributing guide. It's on GitLab, I believe, under the Salt. I think it's Salt Project or Salt Open, or maybe it's Salt Stack. Maybe open an issue there and kind of make it and ask that it be made the standard. I quite frankly completely agree that kind of reusing name as the state ID is not ideal and is very confusing for beginners, or doing things like combining multiple modules into a single state ID. So if you'd like to see that happen, probably the best place is to open an issue against the docs contributing guide and see if that could be put in. Because I agree, even though we should maintain backward compatibility for the thousands and thousands of people who are using kind of the more concise format, I agree the other the format Thomas Phipps showed is much easier, especially for newcomers to read.
Okay, so are people? So let me stop you there, Gary, really quick. Are people? Can they understand? Can you guys understand what Gary's saying? Do you know where he's going with this? Gary, I'm not going to lie. You sound like you're a correspondent for the Weather Channel in the middle of a hurricane right now.
I'm actually on a cruise ship in the West Caribbean right now, so yeah.
Oh, that would explain it. That is fantastic, Gary. That's really cool. So did everybody get what he was saying?
From what I
First of all-
gathered, that there is, we have a Docs Hub repo that contains the salt documentation contributing guide standards. And it sounds like that would be a place to improve or add standardization updates around salt state documentation, at least so that it's a documented process. I think that's what
Anybody got a link to
yeah.
that handy?
I do. Yeah, I can get that. That is source code repo here. And built is, let's see, salt style guide or RST guide. It's going to be one of these of either the RST guide or the salt style guide.
I thought salt was hosted in GitHub, not GitLab.
GitLab hosts the document, the newer documentation stuff that Alyssa's working on.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and that has its own large backstory as to why there's
Don't-
stuff
don't-
on GitHub.
just
and
don't- just
GitLab,
don't.
which we don't
Yeah.
need to do. Yeah.
All right, Gary, is there anything else while we've got you before you lose signal out there in the Caribbean?
Yeah, so I just a couple other comments. The other one was now I've lost my train of thought. Oh, so there are regarding the Python format that Sphinx generates for module documentation. I think everyone agrees it's all right. It's not ideal, but there is actually a PR bot on GitHub that enforces having examples for any states or well, actually any module at all, so that when people are making new contributions, it will bug them to add examples. And so, so that's probably the second best and the easiest option is just make sure there's examples for everything, because then at least you can basically ignore the Python calling format and see the example right below. So there is a PR bot that kind of encourages contributors to add examples. I don't know if it's been updated with all of the modules. Like it used to go, it has a list of modules that it searches out. If there's missing examples, I don't know if that's ever updated, but I know I have run into it a few times when updating modules that it has asked me to add examples. And perhaps if the state ID format is accepted into the contributing guide, perhaps something similar can also be written to enforce that for state IDs.
I didn't catch that at all. Can somebody help translate?
Yeah, so what are you saying is that there is a GitHub app that can scan PRs and check for whether the example section of the PyDoc strings are populated. And then it can prompt someone who's a contributor to be like, hey, by the way, you need to update that there isn't an example here. And so it made him think that maybe there's a way to use something similar to that checks the example format in order to provide a prompt of some kind. So he's trying to view it from an automation perspective, but I do know that I think Pedro had something in maybe pre-commit or somewhere else that is at least checking. Or go ahead, Shane, what you're going to say.
Well, I have seen that in pre-commit. When I failed to put an example, it would fail pre-commit.
Yeah, I think we have something in place in pre-commit that is a minimal check that just goes, is the file that you're editing, does it have examples in the functions? If not, in the function doc strings, if not, make sure to have it there. But that's the minimal check. It doesn't necessarily do a formatting standard analysis. But yeah, I think that's what Gary was going on is whether there could be some kind of automated perspective at looking at the salt state format of the example.
Well, that and the way it's actually listed is it's listed as a function, which it is, everything is a function, but users don't know exactly what a function is in this regard.
Am I the only one that, I mean, I'm kind of jealous, I'm not gonna lie, because what I have in my mind as Gary is talking and we're trying to hear him is he's got the phone like this while he's laying in a lounge chair, putting on the suntan lotion, you know, smearing it on. Gary, is there anything else, sir?
No, you guys have put up with my garbled audio for long enough.
Well, we're glad you're here. Thanks for, I mean, that's commitment, man. By the way, I think it needs to be pointed out that Gary Geeson is a SALT project community champion. You know, that's why he's walking the walk right there. Does anybody have any other questions? No? Anything else? Going once, going twice. Shane Lee, if you would, play us out, sir.
Well, my daughter, she doesn't think I give her enough privacy. At least that's what she wrote in her journal.
Well done, sir. Well done. All right, that's it for Salt Project Community Open Hour for this one. We'll see you on March 16th. Thanks, everybody. And be sure to go look for those bugs. We need RC testers. Go check out Idem Project and check out spugum.com as well for our good friend Nick Hughes and our SALT user group meetups. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you later.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.